All right, let's just dive right in, because today we're talking about one of the most underappreciated and, honestly, most versatile tools in the entire animal kingdom, the butt. Seriously, we're going to look at how all sorts of creatures have evolved their rear ends into some truly remarkable, and sometimes kind of shocking, secret weapons.
So, if you've spent any time on the internet, you've probably heard about wombats, right? Their claim to fame is, well, it's their cube-shaped poop, which, let's be honest, is an incredible feat of biological engineering all by itself. But the whole wombat butt legend? Oh, it doesn't stop there.
Yeah, there's this incredible story going around that wombats use their super tough cartilaginous rumps to crush the skulls of any predator foolish enough to follow them into their burrows. It sounds awesome, right? But unfortunately, as cool as it is, these tales of wombat on predator combat are totally unconfirmed. The idea of a tactical butt, though, oh, that is very, very real. So let's check out some cases we know are true.
Okay, first up, we're looking at an underwater assassin. I'm talking about the dragonfly larva, or nymph. We all know adult dragonflies are just these ridiculously good hunters, but that predatory genius, it starts way, way before they ever get their wings.
You see, the larva's hindgut is basically the ultimate multi-tool. It's not just for, digesting food and pooping. Nope. It breathes through it, pulling water in and out. It uses it for a quick getaway by blasting that water out, like a little jet propulsion system. But its most mind-blowing function? That's how it powers the larva's attack.
And to really get why this is so important, you have to appreciate just how lethal these things are. I mean, adult dragonflies have a staggering 95% success rate when they're hunting. Think about that. That kind of deadly efficiency is built right here in this underwater stage, and it's all thanks to a butt-powered secret weapon.
So, how does it actually work? Well, it's all about hydraulics. See, the larva's mouth parts can shoot out in a fraction of a second, but it doesn't have a muscle strong enough to do that on its own. So what does it do? First, it pulls its mouth parts back, kind of like cocking a gun. Then, and here's the key, it seals its anal valve completely shut and squeezes its hindgut, building up this insane amount of water pressure inside. Finally, some internal mechanism lets go, and whoosh, that pressure launches its mouth forward to grab its prey. It is literally an engine in the back powering a weapon in the front. Just amazing.
All right, let's switch gears from offense to defense. Our next creature takes a much more dramatic approach. Some scorpions use their rear ends not for an attack, but for the ultimate defensive sacrifice.
The scientific term for this is autonomy. And you've seen this before for sure. Think about a lizard dropping its tail to get away, or a spider sacrificing a leg. It's a pretty common trick in nature. It's costly, yeah, but it's a super effective way to distract a predator and live another day. I mean, better to lose a part of you than all of you, right? But for 14 specific species of South American scorpions, there's a serious catch. When they get cornered, they can break off their entire tail, stinger included, to make a run for it. It's a great escape plan, but it comes with a truly bizarre and ultimately fatal consequence. Because they lose their anus. Permanently. Yeah, when the tail goes, the very last part of their digestive tract goes with it. And unlike a lizard's tail, it doesn't grow back. The wound heals up, sure, but that scorpion can never, ever poop again.
So, this brave act of self-defense starts a very slow countdown to an inevitable death from fatal constipation. But here's the thing, it's a really slow process. In lab studies, it took as long as 8 months for the waste to build up to a critical point. And from an evolutionary point of view, 8 months is plenty of time for that scorpion to find a mate and pass on its genes. And that's likely the reason this incredibly strange survival trait has stuck around.
All right, speaking of bum deals, let's talk about sea cucumbers. These kind of blobby, unassuming creatures have to deal with some pretty serious pains in the butt, literally, and they have evolved some truly messy and frankly kind of gross defenses in response.
Okay, so they have two main lines of butt defense. The first one is called evisceration, and it is exactly as intense as it sounds. When a predator comes along, they literally eject their own internal organs out of their anus. These guts can be super sticky or even contain nasty chemicals, which is a fantastic way to distract an attacker. And don't worry, they just grow them back later. No big deal. The second defense is a bit more structural. Some species have developed what are basically anal teeth to block anyone from getting in.
So why on earth would you need anal teeth? Well, there's this little freeloader called the pearlfish. and it has a really weird habit of swimming inside sea cucumber butts to use them as a shelter. Now, the only reason it can do this is because, get this, just like the dragonfly larva, sea cucumbers also breathe through their butts, so they have to open up to get oxygen, and that's when the pearlfish makes its move. And to make matters worse, sometimes while it's hiding in there, the fish will nibble on the sea cucumber's gonads. So yeah, those anal teeth are basically bouncers for a very, very important no trespassing zone.
From physical barriers to straight-up chemical warfare. Look, a lot of animals use nasty sprays from their rear ends. We all know that. But Rove beetles, they take this idea to a whole different level, using chemical secrets for both attack and defense.
So get this. There's this one group of Rove beetles that skates on the surface of the water, and their escape plan is incredible. When a predator shows up, the beetle squirts a special liquid from its butt. This liquid breaks the water's surface tension right behind it, but the tension in front of it stays strong. That imbalance of forces literally rockets the beetle forward. It's like a tiny surfer creating its own wave to escape.
But there's an even more mysterious tactic from another Rove beetle, one that eats flies. Imagine this. There's no rotting fruit or anything smelly around to attract its dinner. So what does it do? It seems to make its own lure. It just sits on a leaf, lifts its butt up in the air, and releases this chemical that seems to draw flies right to it. And the flies are so mesmerized they don't even see the beetle getting ready to strike.
Okay, a quick but important reality check here. This incredible behavior, it's all based on a single scientific report from back in the 1990s. Now, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means it's a really rare observation, and it's been super hard for anyone to study it again. So for now, it's one of those tantalizing scientific mysteries that's just out there, waiting to be solved.
And that brings us to our final example, which is, well, it's an honorable mention. Just like that beetle lure, this one is also based on a single report that hasn't been repeated since, but it is just too wild not to share with you.
Beaded lacewing larvae might be able to paralyze termites by farting on them. Yes, you heard that right. Back in the 1980s, some researchers reported watching these tiny larvae walk up to termites, lift their rear ends, and let one rip. A few minutes later, the termites, which are way bigger than the larvae, by the way, were completely paralyzed. It was just enough time for the lacewing to move in and start eating. The only conclusion the scientists could come to was that it must be a truly toxic gas, a one-of-a-kind chemical weapon.
So when you put it all together, the humble butt is, well, it's anything but humble, right? We've seen it act as an engine and a hydraulic weapon. We've seen it work as a shield. It can be a chemical lure or even a life-saving sacrifice that dooms the animal later on. These aren't just quirks. These are some of the most clever, most unexpected adaptations you can find anywhere in the animal kingdom.
And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If something we think of as so simple, so basic as a rear end can evolve into all these complex and brilliant tools for survival, what other incredible evolutionary marvels are out there? What else is hiding right in front of us, just waiting to be noticed?